Yeah, I work on people for years sometimes. And sometimes
I was one of those people.
I was just about to tell a story about that. So there's about 3 or 4 people, and you know who you are if you're listening. And I'm just like, hey, when are you going to come work for us? And I have a great success story. One of these guys, who's now my West Coast sales director, Raphael, he's like an automation guru. He's just one of the best connectors. When he goes to a company, he literally just like understands what will make them successful and how to apply everything he knows to that. He's not really there selling a product. And I've been a great friend of mine. I love this guy, and I've been just every few months, hey, when you come work for us, when you gonna come work for us? And all of a sudden, I kind of stopped with the every few months thing. And maybe it'd been like 6 months, and he called me and he's like, hey, I want to finish my career with you guys. And I was like, are you just mad at your boss? And he's like, no, I've thought about this. He's like, I wouldn't have made this call if I wasn't serious. And we hired him like less than a week later.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. We're here at FABTECH. These are our special FABTECH editions. I'm your host, Casey Voelker, sitting here with my co-host, Matthew Nix. And these episodes are all brought to you by, here at FABTECH, brought to you by Pacific Press Holdings, manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic brakes and presses. So we really appreciate them sponsoring these episodes. It gives us a chance to focus on the content and not focus on how we're producing all this content. But we actually are sitting here with one of the Making Chips guys, and I'll go ahead and have you introduce him again, Matthew, who's here with us.
Mike Payne, who's part of the Making Chips family, is here with us, and we got an empty seat right over here. Nick Goellner, the OG of Making Chips, is supposed to be here.
He's on his way.
But he's stuck in an Uber right now, I think.
Yeah, so, I think he said it turned into a 40-minute ride, so.
Yeah.
He's on his way.
And we're blessed to have a full podcast lineup today at FABTECH. And so the show's got to go on.
Yeah,
so,
you got started early.
Yeah, here we are. We're on our third episode of the day already. And so we'll catch Nick when he gets here, and we'll be sure to bust him a little bit.
Give him a hard time. He deserves it.
So Matthew, I don't know if you want to talk about what you were just talking about off camera at all. I think that might be kind of interesting.
Yeah. I won't go into the details, but just between episodes here, I was checking emails and stuff, and I think it's just the life of a business manager or business owner. I checked my email and got some, a fire that I got to put out back at work, and it's just like you just got to roll.
There's always a few of them for sure.
Yeah, it's a employee issue that.
Is this something that you haven't experienced before though?
Yeah, probably not to this degree. So it's kind of a unique situation.
Well, and in all fairness to Nick, the reason he's running late is because of an employee issue that they got lit up about early this morning. So
even when you're at FABTECH at a conference, you got to put out. I don't know. All my employees are here with me right now, so there's that.
Yeah, you're not to that point yet, but
oh yeah, okay, fair.
That's the that's the part that you don't see. We're on these shows talking about trying to highlight some of the good things that we're doing or our guests are doing, and
there's always other stuff. I've been real lucky, this year especially. My team has really, really, really done a good job this year, especially with some of the struggles we've had with, like kind of top line this year with the slowdown and so forth. But I've been able to actually get out and, be here, go to IMTS, do some other travel for work and business. And they've actually kept me pretty well isolated, which is good because I'm able to really focus. But there's still... It never fails. There's still a phone call. There's still an email.
Yeah, and I'm really the opposite this year. I mean, as you know, in the past, I've been really proud of the fact that I've been able to step away from the day-to-day grind a little bit and focus on starting ProFab and, working with Casey and making Sparks up off the ground and different things like that. And very involved in mergers and acquisitions. But here lately, it's been a tough year for our business in a lot of ways. And a lot of it's growing, good things, self-induced growing pains.
Sure.
The amount of stuff we've tried to tackle in 1 year is kind of like we're a glutton for punishment. We're doing the largest facility expansion we've ever done in our company. We closed an acquisition in January, and we just closed another one in September. We opened a new satellite sales and engineering office at the other end of our state, and doing all that. And we're having a slow year, just like you, top line. I think a lot of people in our industry, things have slowed down a little bit. So dealing with the challenges of that and just all the, growing pains that go along with that in a down year. So I've had to really re-engage this year, get in the weeds, so to speak, a lot more than normal. But, I think that's just part of it. You roll with it.
Well, it reminds me a lot. Nick and I recorded an episode, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago on making chips. It was, work-life balance, and is that a fallacy, right? Like, I mean, is it achievable?
Well, perfect balance is not.
Right. But, what we talked about is, and I've got a quote I love that I kind of live by. Maybe I've shared it with you before, and I can't remember the whole thing off the top of my head, but what it kind of boils down to is, finding that integration of work and life, right? So, you're maybe, like, I've been able to get out and work on other stuff. I've also been able to get out and enjoy some personal time. But even when you're on that personal time, you're still engaged, right? I mean, it's just maybe you have an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening where you're paying attention to what's going on, but there's just still stuff to do.
Hey guys, just a reminder, this FABTECH Making Sparks episode is brought to you by our friends at Pacific Press Holdings, the trusted manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic press brakes and presses. For over 75 years, Pacific has been a leader in crafting high-quality hydraulic presses, press brakes, and shears, trusted by businesses across the metal fabrication industry. Whether you need a custom-built press or a standard solution, Pacific delivers precision-engineered equipment designed to last. From consultation to installation and ongoing service, their team is committed to helping your business stay ahead. And for over 80 years, Multipress has been the go-to name for hydraulic press solutions that prioritize precision and performance. From C-frame presses to specialized assembly solutions, Multipress combines innovative engineering with unmatched reliability, making them a trusted partner for manufacturers in metal forming and assembly. You're not just buying machines. You're investing in a legacy of expertise, innovation, and support. To learn more about Pacific, visit pacific-press.com. And to learn more about Multipress, visit multipress.com. Mike, I'd like to ask, you mentioned like you're getting out at these conferences and stuff because of the way your crew is. What is something that you've put in place that has allowed you to be able to be more present? I mean, we kind of all know what you have to do, is that business has to be able to run without you to be able to give you a chance to go do it. But is there anything that you did this year that you're like?
No, I think it's just a culmination of, having the right team. A lot of it's me, right? I'm an entrepreneur. Most of us are somewhat control freaks. So part of it is just me as the owner realizing, hey, they've got me, right? Like, they've got the day-to-day. I don't need to know what's going on that job. You asked in your speech yesterday, Matthew, about how many people in the room know every project going on in your shop. A year ago, I wouldn't have raised my hand, right? Because in a lot of ways, I was forcing myself to stay that engaged. But as, trust has grown and you see things working the way they're supposed to do, just more comfortable in doing it. And it's let me get out and do the important stuff. Although like our legacy business is, going to be down quite a bit this year, we've brought in about that much new work, people we didn't do business with a year ago. I say we'll be down. We'll be relatively flat, but because our core business, our legacy business is down, it feels like we're down.
Gotcha.
But, if I didn't have that time and trust and all that in that team and them delivering, then we wouldn't have that new business. I wouldn't be out getting it.
How important is that you are coming to these shows, even though you guys might have a flat year? And I'm asking both of you guys, like you just said how much you're in the weeds right now, but you're still here. You went and you spoke to certain things. We're still pushing some other stuff. I even can say like we had that Captivate content on the video side of stuff. We had 3 months of like really busy time. And I remember in some of our quarterly reviews for like ProFab and stuff, Adam Schmidt was like talking to us that we're still prioritizing a lot of the things that are working on our business.
Sure.
So I guess I'm asking you guys both, how important is that you guys are out here doing these other things, even though the business might not be where you want it to be?
I think if you wait for it to be right where you want it to be, you'll never do anything.
Right.
But I say that saying like, yeah, there's times where I feel guilty or feel like, I shouldn't be focusing on this or doing that. And there's been even a time or two where I've even apologized for it to my senior leadership team, and they're like, Matthew, no, like we want you to be doing that.
Right.
You know, if you're not doing that, then nobody is.
No, I mean, I could only really echo that. I mean, it is the most critical stuff to do. Even, when you guys were talking with Jim Meyer a little bit ago, he asked about, you guys are having a conversation about, like, why is it important to come to the show?
Why come to FABTECH?
FABTECH is a unique space to be able to learn specifically about the welding technologies, right? There are a few shows that try and encapsulate everything, but this is really specialized. And so you meet a really different group of people at FABTECH than you do from an Automate or an IME West. It's just a different group that's here. For me, it's all about the networking.
For me, I mean, he talked about the relationships. I think that's the best thing you're going to get out of any of these types of things. But for me, I like to see what's coming. I don't need half of what I'll see today. I might. And like the example I would give, Matthew helped me last month at IMTS. In 2022, I saw laser welding technology. Like, well, this looks cool. I could see possible an application for that. Didn't have one currently. This year, one of those new customers we've picked up, the application's great. When we were at IMTS, Matthew walked around with me looking for solutions. We've since bought some of that equipment. We bought an IPG light weld laser, and we finally got it installed and trained and everything last week, and it's already changing the way we do things. So, like, the importance of me being here in 22 was figuring that out for 24, right? I didn't need it in 22, but it looked cool.
I'll echo that. Our sponsor for this podcast, all these podcasts are FABTECH. I met them at FABTECH 2 years ago.
Right.
And they became a sponsor now that our podcast is going. Personally, with Cap Day Content, they're a client of ours, so I got to do some videos. Our first videos we did for them were this year, and I remember putting a proposal together 2 years ago after FABTECH when I met them. I mean, I'm here for a different reason than a lot of people, because I'm not here to buy equipment. I'm here to work with these fabrication companies that are walking the floor. I'm here to work with some of the tooling companies and stuff and stuff like that. And so, and just to get my name out here, because I'm not in this industry. So right. It's been crazy. Like, I love, like you said earlier, you saw my LinkedIn post. I'm loving, like, the interconnectivity of what I'm doing live right now, like on LinkedIn, posting stuff, and then people walking up to our booth. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I think that there's a critical component there. I did not come to this show this week with a shopping list. I have some projects in mind that I'd like to discover some possible solutions for. Even those wouldn't necessarily be applicable until the sales volume goes up on that product line.
Well, the first time I ever went to FABTECH, we were looking for our first CNC plasma burn table.
Okay.
And we couldn't even afford any new table. My brother and I knew when we went to FABTECH that we were going to end up buying a used table. But we went there anyways to learn about what was out there, what brands we liked.
Right.
And we found a brand that we liked and really liked their team. And I went online and shopped for a used one, and I paid like $20,000 for a used burn table and ended up retrofitting it. And we actually still run it to this day.
Really?
So, you don't have to be able to afford all the latest and greatest to get value out of being here is my point.
Yeah, there's just a ton to learn and a ton of people to meet. And I mean, it's just all these types of things, and whether it's this show, that show, whether it's just visits to maybe your customer's location, anything like that.
This episode of Making Sparks is brought to you by Paperless Parts. Are you tired of the complexity that comes with quoting and manufacturing? Paperless Parts is here to help. As the #1 quoting and collaboration software for manufacturers, Paperless Parts simplifies every step of your quoting process in a single, centralized environment. With patented technology, their automated costing and pricing logic is tailored specifically to your shop, making it easier and faster to generate consistent quotes across your entire estimating team. Plus, Paperless Parts meets the rigorous standards of FedRAMP and CMMC, giving you confidence that your data is secure. By streamlining your workflow, Paperless Parts saves you time, boosts profitability, and helps you deliver an unbeatable customer experience. Ready to level up your shop's quoting process? Visit paperlessparts.com to learn more. Paperless Parts, quoting made simple, profitable, and powerful.
Holy cow, look who's here.
Oh man.
We're recording.
Hey, we're
right
recording
now.
live, and
Right now, you're just gonna jump right in. Come on in.
The OG
Do we clap a little
right
bit?
there.
I'm gonna clap.
Original Goellner.
I almost wore that shirt today.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect for FABTECH.
I know.
Isn't it? So just to describe for the listeners, if they're not watching, we have the Hennig shirt. It's Uncle Sam with "Protect Your Success" tattoos with his arms crossed with a welding helmet on his head.
And for the listeners, that's Nick. Nick just showed up.
Nick Goellner.
We just talked for 15 minutes about
the OG
you.
of making chips. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I got a little caught
better
up.
late than never.
Yeah, I got a little caught up doing what I call like my real job, not podcasting.
So did you have a fire to put out this morning?
Yeah, we did.
So just between episodes, I had a fire pop up too. So as soon as I'm done here, I got to make some phone calls and put out a fire too.
We'll be a little raw. I'll just say what it is. So we're here at FABTECH. We make big saw machines, big massive saw machines that cut steel. And we've been working with this engineer from Austria for a long, long time. And our thought is, hey, he's going to take over and have this major role. We get a phone call and he's, maybe thinking about doing something else after he finishes what he's doing now. So it's like, course correct. So we're going to take our shot, try to make sure we get this kid back because he's awesome. But that's it. I mean, that's a day in the life of a real manufacturing leader, right?
And that's kind of what we were talking about. And then we transitioned a little bit to FABTECH and just like the relationships people make at FABTECH. And I don't know, where were we? And then Nick
I
came
don't
in.
know. We're just.
Hopefully I make a relationship with like a young engineer who knows how to build sawing machines because I might need one of those.
Yeah. So if you're out there listening, Nick is hiring.
Great.
I think we're all always hiring.
Yeah.
I'm not hiring.
And even if you're not, you need to think about building that pipeline. Just because you're building connections, you're talking to people about what might be a great career. Even if you're not hiring at that moment, it's always nice to have that Rolodex.
I think that's just like you were talking about with equipment. We were saying, he was saying, when you come to FABTECH, you don't have to be in the market at this moment. He was looking at laser welding technology 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the same for talent pipeline, right?
100%.
You have to be planting those seeds, and whether it's very specific people and specific relationships or just casting the net for the future.
Yeah.
You guys did that at Nix, right? Like there's people that you guys had met years in advance. You're that'd be awesome if we get them on our team. And then sure enough, 3 years, I still remember a guy this year, and I go, wait, I think I sent you a text. I go, he's on the team now? And you're like, yeah, he's been with us for a few months. I'm like, I really liked him when I met him,
Yeah.
I didn't know he was on the team.
Yeah, I work on people for years sometimes, and sometimes
I was
it
one
just
of those
takes
people.
the right
I was just about to
timing.
tell a story about that. So there's about 3 or 4 people, and you know who you are if you're listening. And I'm just like, hey, when are you going to come work for us? And I have a great success story. One of these guys, who's now my West Coast sales director, Raphael, he's like an automation guru. He's just one of the best connectors. When he goes to a company, he literally just understands what will make them successful and how to apply everything he knows to that. He's not really there selling a product. And so I've been a great friend of mine. I love this guy, and I've been just every few months, hey, when you come work for us, when are you going to come work for us? And it wasn't the right fit for whatever reason. And all of a sudden, I kind of stopped with the every few months thing. And maybe it had been like 6 months, and he called me and he's like, hey, I want to finish my career with you guys. And I was like, are you just mad at your boss? And he's like, no, I've thought about this. He's like, I wouldn't have made this call if I wasn't serious. And we hired him like less than a week later. And so you just got to stay in front of him. I wear my wife out too, I just keep asking. Eventually she relents, and now I got 4 kids.
I didn't know where he was going with that at all.
Oh, come on, Casey. My wife's right over here, so
just laugh politely. Yeah. Well, it goes kind of what we were talking about, though. They're working on it for years, planting those seeds, whether it's an employee, equipment, whatever. That's where we as leaders of our companies, that's that difference between working on your company versus working in your company, right?
Yeah.
And as we were starting this recording, talking about my team's doing a really good job right now, and is allowing me to get out and work on the company.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, working on the company, I want to say something. So right now we're doing Making Sparks podcast. We're on these nice couches, right?
Yeah.
We're in a little open area. We're over here looking at a shipping container that we've been talking about, that we thought would be cool, is to build a shipping container, make it a podcast studio, bring to FABTECH.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say.
Oh, man, if you do that.
4 to 5 years, let's say we're going to have a shipping container.
So
wouldn't that be cool to come back to this episode?
That'd be so cool.
So
Maybe
one
less
of our sister companies in Tulsa did that. Not a podcast booth, but a trade show booth. There you just drop a shipping container down. And so I can get you guys I can get you guys hooked up with them on what went well and what didn't, and some plans.
Well, me and Matthew have been talking about working together on big enclosures for machines. We built certain types of enclosures. We kind of stopped building other types, and Matthew's like, hey, maybe we could be a good partner for that. So the one idea we had at the IMTS show was we didn't have a roof. We didn't have a cover on our little recording studio. And the hard part is like, well, if you put a cover, then you lose all your lighting. You got to add new lights on the inside. And what we make is like a articulating translucent bellow system as like a roof system.
It's like an accordion.
Yeah, exactly. Like an accordion. Exactly. That lets the light through, but it keeps all the stuff inside. And we had a stand right next to the recording studio showing how that works. I'm like, we should just put a roof on this thing.
Yeah.
Now it doubles. So if you guys do something where you build like some sort of enclosure or shipping container, we can put a roof on there. We'll have our product display in our studio be one and the same. Let's go.
It's Casey with Making Sparks sitting here with Adam Schmidt from ProFab Alliance. And Adam, I got a quick question for you. If you are a new leader and you just moved into a role and you're looking for mentorship, could ProFab Alliance help with that?
Yeah, and honestly, a lot more. I think the best option really to start out is joining one of those peer groups. You're not only going to get mentorship from ProFab Alliance team member that leads those groups, but you're also going to get the successes and best practices and lessons learned from other like-minded leaders in the industry. We try to pair those groups, in regions. You're not having to travel across country. Most of the peer group meetings are virtual anyways. So, and it's really what happens outside the meetings, those friendships that you build, and you meet the people that you eventually trust and lean on.
Hey, Mike, are you shopping for anything here? I know you bought a CMM at IMTS, right?
Yeah, it was CMM and laser welding.
What kind of CMM did you buy?
We went with LK Metrology on that, and then we went with IPG on the laser welder. I want to make sure to get by IPG today. I want to go see some more stuff over in the South Hall that we didn't get to see yesterday.
Yeah, let those guys know you're making them famous on LinkedIn, showing
Right.
how even Mike can weld. If
Yeah.
you use the
you
IPG
gonna make
welder.
the long trek to the South Hall?
That is a trek. Might
Go across
Uber.
that walk. They literally have buses that
It's
shuttle
really?
from here
It's
to
so
the South
far
Hall.
between these two halls that they actually have a beer tent in the middle, so you can make a
Yeah.
pit stop.
Also, they
yeah.
have shuttles, so you can get off at this hall, hop onto a shuttle, and go over to the other hall.
I didn't realize there was a shuttle, but that makes sense because it's a hike. Yeah, I don't have a specific shopping list though.
and
I'm
you
just
still
trying to
show
learn.
up. And I think that's a takeaway. Like we've been saying, you don't need a specific shopping list to get a lot from a show like this.
Right.
The connections, maybe future team members that you could kind of talk to, potentially recruit.
Yeah.
Customers.
Yeah, I've only ever bought one machine tool brand new at the show. 2 years ago at IMTS, we bought a brand new Mazak
Yeah.
at the show. First and only time we've ever done that. I mean, we're always looking like you.
Sure.
And, hopefully we will do that again in the future. But
Did you buy it at the show because of like a show deal?
yeah, but we had already been, thinking about that. But it was
That's what
just,
these sales guys do. They sandbag all their sales so they can book them at the show.
Yeah,
And then tell their boss, man, I sold 20 machines at the show.
Yeah,
I know the tricks.
it was a good, sort of final, spending time with them and
Sure.
getting to know them. And,
What was it? What type of machine again?
yeah, it was a mill turn, our first mill turn lathe. Yeah.
Like a
Yeah,
Integrex or?
it's not the Integrex. Yeah, I can't think of the model, but it's the one just below the Integrex.
Cool,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Integrex is the next
Yeah,
on
we've
the
got a
list
few of
for
those.
us.
We love them.
Yeah, they're badass.
Yeah, a lot in one setup.
Yeah.
I laughed at IMTS this year when I was, looking at all the CMMs. It was funny the way they were doing their, quotes, show specials.
Yeah.
And you had to buy then, right? I mean, like at the show. Every case, I'm like, well, no. I mean, and they want money down, right? It's like, well, I didn't bring my checkbook to do this 20% down on this $150,000 piece of equipment or whatever. But most of them then would extend it. But boy, they didn't want to. They want you to commit right there.
For sure. You get home
When
and
you
you're
get
like,
home, like I
you
don't
call them
necessarily
like,
want to do
hey,
this here.
I'll do it if you got the same deal. They're like, yeah, you know
Right.
what? We got a new special. It's the old special.
Right.
I would do it
Yeah,
too.
It's that whole great sense of urgency, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good deal. Well, what else? We got anything else to talk about? We got another guest coming up right behind this one. So.
Nick, since you just got here, what's the coolest thing is you've just been walking around that you've seen that you're just like, oh, that was
so
cool.
there's this big fabricated dragon that I'll probably post on LinkedIn. I made a post the other day
about. Is it fabricated or is it 3D like weld printed?
I don't know. Yeah, it's like all these different. It looks like they took a bunch of gears
I think
and
it's
nuts and
welded.
bolts.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and they
it is
welded it all
fabricated together.
Yeah.
I just saw it from afar. Yeah.
It's really cool.
It looks welded together.
I made a post the other day. Like, if you can't make manufacturing interesting, that's on you. You know, to the next generation, right? Like, because I'm gonna send that to my kids, and I'm gonna be like, look at this monster that showed up at the show, and they're gonna be like, damn, that's cool, Dad.
Mason, our editor, was telling me that the shipping container one that everybody's been showing me to look at, that it's not a podcast booth. It's just that's what they're using for their office, right?
Yeah.
They actually have a robot right now building some kind of product for a customer here at FABTECH. They actually have the material here. They're actually building something right now with their robot.
That's cool.
I was like,
What's the name of the lady that was cutting the flowers out of the sheet metal?
Oh yes, Ray. Something.
Ray, the welder.
Can't think of her last name. She's a
super
metal
popular.
artist.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
That was cool. That was really cool.
we have two metal. She may be on the podcast later. We have two metal artists coming to be on the podcast today. So I don't.
Oh, do you really?
So now you're speaking my love language, because I was an artist. I was telling you guys at dinner last night that I thought
You
fine
was
art
or
was
you are?
awesome.
I think you are an artist. I don't think you
like have to do a thing to say that you are that, but because I don't have any time for it anymore. But I can sit down and knock out a cool painting for sure. I think I owe Mike one.
You do. I mean, I want to.
Yeah.
I want an OG.
I would say you are an artist.
Piece of art on the wall.
Artiste.
Yeah, I think that's. I would agree. I think once you kind of are, then you are. You know, like Casey could stop making films for 6 years and he's still an artist.
You can identify.
I can identify as anything nowadays, man. I'm gonna pick artist.
I can't believe you're saying that on our podcast.
It's true.
All right,
let's wrap it
Hey,
up.
last thing I saw that was really
fine.
cool. Sorry, because you asked. There's this automated like powder coating company. I can't think of the name. Sorry, they're not getting the plug because I can't remember it. But after the robots like powder coating everything, it does a dance and they blast "We will rock you," and then the robots like dance into the music.
That was fun.
I go check that out.
I
That might
thought
be
that
kinda
was
cool.
pretty intuitive because they didn't have to do that. They could have just showed what it did, but then they bumped the music and they have it dance a little bit and it draws people to it. So
Pretty cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Very
shout
cool.
out to them. We'll have to figure out who that was. And
That's
put it in
the
show
creative
notes or
guy
something.
in you that
Yeah,
loved
I
that.
thought it was cool.
Right,
You know,
that's
way
the
to
artist
stand
that's
out.
still there.
Do something a little different. So
Yeah. All right, Nick. Well, you know how to sign us off.
Yep. I got to plug Pacific Press again. I'm sorry.
Oh,
And our show. We're terrible.
Yeah,
at
I know.
this.
hey, you can edit this in later.
Yeah, we'll
right?
edit this in afterward.
it's your
Or
work.
just come in after.
Whatever. Obviously, if you like Making Sparks, share it. If you like the other Making Chips shows, go listen to them.
Yeah.
But
listen to By the Numbers coming
listen
out
to
this
By the
week.
Numbers here soon.
Yeah.
With Mike. And a special thank you to Pacific Press Holdings. You know, they're the manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic brakes and presses. They're sponsoring all of our episodes here at FABTECH 2024, so we really appreciate them sponsoring it. Check them out. You know, we have a special episode coming from their booth too. So
Yeah, and shout out to them. Like they're a good customer of mine, and I don't even know if they know that yet. So shout out to them, and thanks to them for.
we were saying
being a
before you
sponsor.
got here, I met them 2 years ago at FABTECH, and then
Yeah.
they became customer of Captivate Content. We did our first videos this year with them.
Yeah, well,
So
shout
good
out to
too.
them. They buy a special component that gets worked into their machine. I don't even know if they realize they get it from me.
Oh, that is awesome. That's
That's
awesome.
cool.
So awesome, yeah. I mean, that's it. I guess we're done now.
Well, make sure you like us, share us, rate us, all the things.
All the things
All
that
the things.
podcasters are supposed to say.
So
We're
what did
still
we say
learning.
earlier? If we're not making sparks, we're what?
We're not making any money.